Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia McCracken, and our team is made up of Mike Marcus, John Less, and Mosen Al-Kalam. We work together to develop a process by which to evaluate 21 countries to select the best one for the Comcast project. We decided that South Africa would be the optimal country for them. The next few slides will show you how we came to our recommendation. Comcast's technical and customer service call centers provide 24/7 call answering capability, telemarketing, and other services. Comcast has increased its investment in their call center in support of and to enhance the customer experience. The opening of the new call centers for Comcast must help continue the trend of providing the multi-dimensional customer service experience. This is particularly important as Comcast is in direct competition for customers who now possess a series of alternatives. The retention of current customers as well as the acquisition of new ones will help strengthen Comcast in its future business interactions. To help Comcast identify the country in which to locate its next call center, we took in consideration many factors, from the security and political stability risk to the government effectiveness and the legal and regulatory country-specific issues. We also looked at the macroeconomic risk, foreign trade and payments, and financial risk. We looked at tax policy. We spent a particular amount of time looking at the labor market. We looked at the English Proficiency Index, the unemployment rate, and minimum wage. And we also looked at the infrastructure risk. Finally, we considered the ease of business score and the business climate rating and the country risk. We initiated our search for the top country by utilizing the existing data provided by Comcast. With that data, along with the client interview, specific assumptions were made. Those included that English was a high priority in all of the factors to consider. In addition, local wages, the unemployment rate, and the country's infrastructure. An additional assumption was made that the Philippines was a country that was liked by the client, but however, they wanted to see something else. In this slide, you will see what criteria we weighted more heavily in our decision-making process. Once we established our priority decision-making criteria, we created a comparison table. With this information, we sought out countries which had an unemployment rate above 8%. We looked at countries that had an abundant, affordable workplace. We considered countries that had governments that worked well with telecommunications companies, and we finally, and most crucially, considered countries that had a high English Proficiency Index. This is where we started, looking at the English Proficiency Index, and immediately South Africa appeared on the top of the list. When we reviewed its other characteristics, we found that the unemployment rate was high and wages were low. Finally, we compared South Africa in more detail to the Philippines. In our assessment, it revealed that South Africa met the majority of the criteria we were looking for in our search for Comcast to develop a new call center. We made our decision based on meeting with the Comcast representative, where she stressed the criteria we weighted in our decision-making matrix. As we know, English is as important as it has ever been. It is the first language of communication for all types of business. Most, if not all, companies consider English a key component of remaining competitive and fostering innovation in an internationalized marketplace. In our case, for Comcast, it has an even higher importance since the employee will be working and interacting directly with English-speaking customers. As we can see, South Africa is ranked 6th in the overall global rankings for the English Proficiency Index and ranked number 1 in Africa. In addition, education is an important factor to consider when looking at the potential workforce. The adult literacy rate in South Africa is over 88%, with an average of 10 years of schooling. The minimum wage in South Africa was recently set as of November 2018 at 20 South African Rand an hour, with the exchange rate that equates to roughly $47 and $50 a week. Finally, the unemployment rate in South Africa is 26.6%. Compared to the Philippines, South Africa had an adult literacy rate of over 88%, and in the Philippines, it's over 97%. The minimum wage in the Philippines is approximately $35 a week, and the unemployment rate is 2.3%. You will see that South Africa does have a higher English proficiency rating and a higher mean years of schooling in comparison to the Philippines. South Africa became a sovereign nation in 1931, with the largest city being Johannesburg. Its population is approximately 57 million, with a GDP of 795 billion, being the second largest economy in Africa. The currency is the South African rand, and recently the exchange rate was at $1 per 13.93 rand. In our customer call, we identified that cultural sensitivity was an additional factor of concern by Comcast. So we used the Hofstede measures, the measures of a country's core cultural values, to evaluate the cultural distance between South Africa and the United States. As you can see, when you look at the individual indexes evaluated by the Hofstede measures, the U.S. and South Africa closely align in core cultural values, indicating a closer cultural distance than you will typically see with some of the Asian countries. Finally, we looked at geographic distance. There are daily flights from the U.S. to South Africa, to Johannesburg in particular, from New York, D.C., and Atlanta on international carriers. Our local carrier, Delta, flies direct from Atlanta to Johannesburg daily, and the flights are approximately about 15 to 16 hours long. Finally, we looked at doing business in South Africa. When you look at the ease of doing business score, South Africa ranks 84. The Ease of Doing Business project gives us an opportunity to look at several important dimensions of the regulatory environment. A score of 88 indicates that South Africa, in particular, especially over the last few years, has worked to change and improve its environment and rules and regulations to ease international business within the country. We also looked at the Logistics Performance Index, which is an interactive benchmarking tool, helped to create an indice to identify the challenges and opportunities on trade logistics. South Africa ranks 33 out of 160 countries for its LPI score. We looked into the foreign direct investment incentives within the country. They have worked recently to simplify their tax rules. They have cash grants up to 15% for capital investment, and they also have a unique skilled labor support program that compensates companies up to 50% of training costs and 30% of worker salaries. Finally, we identified a potential partner within South Africa. In Johannesburg, there is Nitsi Connect, a telecommunications and customer engagement solutions company that may be a good partner for Comcast to work with to enter the market in South Africa. Our main goal was to search for the best option for Comcast to start their next call center. South Africa can offer a multilingual call center that has access to abundant, low-cost English proficient workers. There is an ease of doing business and a steady growth in the infrastructure that makes South Africa one of the top, if not the top choice for Comcast. I hope you found our presentation informative. Please refer to our paper for details on our findings and recommendations.